Hello, Rashmi.
Hello, Coach Hemant. Good
How are
evening.
you?
I'm fine, thank you. And what
And
about
how's your
you?
week been? How's the week been in terms of preparation?
Yeah, preparation is well, and I'm going to represent. And whatever I need to improvement, like area of improvement, you will guide me.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
open to learn.
Cool. Great. So, what we'll do during this session is actually go through. I mean, you will be presenting a 10-minute or 15-minute. How much was it?
10 minutes.
A 10-minute speech, and then followed by a feedback. Okay. And then we see what we need to do next. Okay. So, I think we can dive in straight into your 10-minute presentation.
Okay.
Over to you.
Okay. For that, today is my topic is excuse. Excuse. It is a crippling disease of our society. If we wish to grow, we shouldn't make excuses because otherwise we'll be unable to grow. 99% failures now occurs due to excuses, and it is the integral part of our daily lives whether we admit or not. Like if we are going to office and we're reaching late, what excuses might we make? We tell because of the traffic, because of broke down, because of tire puncture, etc. We make that kind of excuses. And with these excuses, we are not going to like make any disturb or any unsuccess for others. It will break and it will bring whatever in our life only. Second, like we have to do any presentation and we have to take any class online Zoom, and we have not done properly. We make the excuse is that because of the internet issues, internet not working properly, or uh, our electricity is not working. So this type of unusual things we represent to ourselves to make excuses we do. And excuses also leads to procrastination. If we push our work for a later date, and they sometimes that later date never comes. Like if someone is very overweight and they have mission to lose the weight, we see the pictures to others whoever are already maintained. We want to achieve this result, but the steps we have to go, we don't follow it. We always think, okay, tomorrow, after day tomorrow, we will start. But really, if we have this habit of procrastination, we never achieve our target. We won't be success what we have set for us. Second thing, excuses are false reason of incapability. Sometimes we don't believe ourselves. We have a scare of the work, whether we will do well, our work will be done well or not. We scare. Like here, I want to give example of myself. Earlier, when I came to Toastmaster, and because of I'm from India and our native language is Hindi, so I had a fear whenever I used to get any role and I have to talk in front of the people. I always make excuses. Oh, my English is not good. I won't be able to speak. So that fear of speak in front of the people, it was getting me down day by day. So for that, when I achieved that, if I have to grow and I have to learn, I have to leave this fear, and better not to take support of um, excuses. Then the moment I had set myself and I came fear of this. So today I am speaking. I'm not telling I'm becomes very great or the expert or very good, but I'm trying my best because I have learned if making excuses, no growth. So for that, I leave this to take the support of excuses. And main things, often like people, they don't want to help, then they make excuses, or sometimes might we are really busy, we don't want to help others, we make excuses. But often these type of false promises, and like we don't complete them. For us maybe it's a tiny thing, it's a very minor thing, but maybe the other people who are in need, for them might be we are the last person in their hand. So we should be take care of it, because might be people can hurt, or might be they can be they can feel the depression, or maybe they can fail somewhere in their life because our this making habit of excuses. So we should be very careful during when we make promises. We should complete our targets, because a friend is in need is a friend indeed. So it, because I have learned law of karma, as we sow, we reap. Like if I help the people in front of people who in need, so in coming time when I need, they will come and help me. In psychological terms, making excuses is called rationalizing. It works when the mind defense mechanism kicks in when controversial feeling or behavior are felt. In result, in us trying to justify our action or seemingly logical explanation mean to hide the truth. Here I want to give a hilarious example of my life. In childhood days, there was a Hindi movie released, Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, and I was in grade 10, and desperately I convinced my father, because that day our the father were not like that. Whatever movies released and we wanted to go, they used to take us. So we had to watch the movie. We brought our good marks, then they accepted. So we have said, okay, in the evening we all are going to see Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. While going to school, I saw, because my father was very socializing person, used to help a lot, and from village also, like from our native place, people used to come for help. So three men were coming to our house, and on the way they met me, and they asked that, beta, like child, do you know where is Satvir Singh house? My father name is Satvir Singh. So I thought, oh, these three uncles are going to my place, and if they will go to my place, definitely we are not going for a movie. And after lots of effort, we make our father convince to watch the movie. So I just make excuses. I don't know any Satvir Singh, and I think in our HL nobody is Satvir Singh here. So maybe you just go outside and try to search this man. And I became very happy inside. Oh wow, I made fool to him. So this excuse I made and left the school. But what happened when I came back from school? As I step in my home, I saw they all were having lunch, and they all were watching my face. Then my father asked, what happened? They say, this girl met and I asked about you. So she said that she doesn't know who you are. Then my father said, might be your languages belongs to village. Maybe she didn't understand properly. Then I say, yeah. So that was my biggest mistake, because they were coming with the luggage. They had traveled one day and one night. So I didn't think about their pain. If something really they need, they are in need, they came to my home. And when you will understand when you will put your leg in their shoes. So that time I learned that we should never make this type such excuses to hurt someone. And excuses have a huge impact on our generation. Consciously, unconsciously, we are making our kids like us. Kids have tendency to absorb everything they hear and see around in our surroundings. Suppose we are tired, we don't want to be come out of our comfort zone, and some people are on door or on call, and then we make excuses through our kids, that go and tell papa or mama is not there, they went for market, or either they're sleeping. So these small excuses teach them. Unconsciously they learn with us. Example, they don't do their homework and they go to school, they make excuses, because of gas, because of electricity, because of my parent busy, I couldn't do my homework. So this is the first step when they start from home. Secondly, when they are not enough capable to do their revision or their mischief, so they don't do their homework they reach on school, or they don't revise their chapters. In the test, they fail. They make excuses that teacher didn't teach properly, she didn't cover that chapter, so I couldn't do well. Or sometimes they make excuses from home itself. I have belly pain, I have a tooth pain. So they start this type of excuses at home. And with this small excuses, sometimes maybe when they grow, they go out of our country, they make excuses when we are in need. We really want to tell them our message, we want to convey some good news or any bad news. So that time they won't be available because they have learned with us. They will tell Papa, I'm in class, or Mama, I'm in class. So they will, that sort of excuses they will make. So we should be very careful while making excuses. So here I would like to leave with this note that it's either excuse or success, not both. If you have habit to make excuses, you cannot grow, you cannot learn. To make proper ourselves, we have to be aware enough what is good, what is bad. To achieve something in our life, we have to completely come out of our comfort zone. We have to leave hand and support of the excuses. Then only our growth is there. So thank you so much. Over to you.
Great. Good. The overall speech and the content was nicely picked. You had a good number of examples and everything. So very nicely done, I would say. And I keep telling you that you started off in our first meeting telling that you are not a very confident speaker and there's a long way to go. But let me tell you, you are a good speaker. What you need is polishing, right? So drive that thing out of your mind that you are not a good speaker. If you can speak confidently and if you can bring in good content, you are a good speaker. Everything else is a matter of detail. It's a matter of polishing. Yes, if I were to put down a list of things that needs improvement or things that were wrong in the speech, it is a long list. There were lots of places where grammatical mistakes were there, where pronunciation was not right, where the way the phrase was used was not correct. But let me tell you that those are important, but that's a matter of detail. That does not take away the fact that you are a good speaker and you were able to get your message across, right? If the meaning is conveyed, the job of the communicator is done. So as a speaker, if you are trying to give a message and the message reaches people in almost its entirety, it's a success. The language can be any, even the grammar can be wrong at times. As long as the message is communicated, that's the key. Okay, and we always work towards improving even all those small hiccups, and we iron out all the wrinkles and get the language right. Okay, so let's go in order. What was the topic?
Excuses.
Say it 5 times.
Excuses, excuses, excuses.
Right. What is the spelling?
EXCUSE.
Right. So what should be the pronunciation? Say it slowly now.
Excuse. Excuse.
Just break the word, no? EX.
X.
CUSE.
Cues.
Right. Now add them together.
Excuse.
It's excuse. So it's excuse.
Excuse.
Not S. X.
X. Okay. Excuse.
Yes. Now 5 times.
Excuse. 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 Excuse.
More 5 times. Faster.
Okay. Excuse, 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 excuse.
Right? Now, you notice the difference? You were saying excuse. It is excuse.
Yes.
Right? Now, if you are talking to an audience who is not very strong in language, right? They will not
Yes.
notice, they will not mind, they will probably think you are saying it in the right way and they were not sure. Right?
Yes.
But if you're talking to an audience which speaks English fluently and correctly, they'll start noticing these small things. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Now what
I
happens
have faced
is,
it before also.
right, now a matured audience will not focus on these things. They will focus on the message and the speaker. But you don't always get a matured audience. You get an ordinary audience who will focus on all things wrong, missing out the key message. And that's what happens. When people stumble on the mistakes, they are not able to focus on the message. Right? That's the problem, which is why we need to iron out the things. So for you now, the polishing becomes important. And this was the topic. So when you kept saying it, and you were also switching between excuse and excuse. Sometimes you were saying it right, sometimes you were saying it wrong. So that was like double thing. On now she said it right. Now again she said it wrong. So even my mind was like, are you not able to decide which one is the correct one? You know, things like that.
Okay.
Right? Then when you don't do things today and put it off for tomorrow, what is that called?
Procrastination.
Yes. Check out the spelling.
PRO, pro, CASTTINATION. Procrastination.
Yeah. Right. You're on mobile or laptop? Mobile, right?
I'm on mobile.
Right. Do you have a laptop around or it's only the mobile?
No, I have 2 laptops.
Okay. No, so let me just open Google and ask for the spelling. The correct spelling has a PROCRAS.
Oh, procrast.
It's procrastination.
Oh.
Now, the moment the R comes in, we don't, procrastination does not become procrastination. It is procrastination.
Procrastination.
Crass.
Procrastination.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, since it's a larger word and you say it fast, some people may miss it, but some people may still catch it. Now, these were two very important terms you are using, so I caught on. But then in your speech, there are quite a few words where you really need to get your pronunciation right. Now, getting pronunciation right is a big task. Because number one, you will correct it only if you know you are saying it wrong. And people will not interrupt you and tell you, oh, you did not say this right. You did not say this right. Right? I picked up these 2 words, but there were several more words. After these 2 words, I'm like, how many words will I write? Right? So it is very difficult to correct pronunciation by learning from mistakes. It's a very difficult thing to do because somebody will have to point out the mistakes. We can't pick our own mistakes because that's the way we have been saying that word for ages. Right? Yes. And I don't know it is wrong because my teacher taught it that way or I learned it that way. Like the classic case is OFTEN.
Often.
What is the pronunciation? Often or often?
Often.
We don't know. Okay, personally, I don't know because I have heard both. I have heard people talking about that word as often so many times. And then someday I hear somebody saying often, often, and I'm wondering what is that word. And then I realize, oh, this is also a pronunciation of the same word. And for years I was told T is silent. Right? The only way you can pick up on your pronunciation mistakes is by exposing yourself to good spoken English. And good spoken English will generally be in proper English news channel, preferably non-Indian. Indian news channels are crazy. It's become entertainment channel. So if you can view the BBC news, I mean, we can fairly assume that they have a very good and high regard for language. So they take care of these things. Now, English news can be a very good, effective way of exposing yourself to a lot of spoken English, which will start polishing your pronunciation. Because you keep hearing those words again and again and the pronunciation again and again. When you say it, you will suddenly feel awkward or odd when you have said something wrong, because in your mind, the BBC pronunciation is ringing somewhere. Right? So the more you hear these things, the better your pronunciation will be. Right? I am also guilty of watching English movies. Right? I've seen a lot of English movies. If subtitles are available, I switch them on. And I'm practically reading all the subtitles. I'm guilty of that. Because I never got comfortable with the American movies and songs English. Till date, I have never been able to interpret the lyrics of songs that I have heard. So I generally don't listen to English music. But even when I'm listening, I'm only listening to the music and never the lyrics, because I don't understand them. Even English movies, if there are subtitles, I will actually switch them on so that I can actually follow the movie. I still have trouble following the English language. But there are quite a few movies which are kind of slow paced and are more focused on the dialogues and the content rather than action or other things. Those are good movies to watch from a language perspective. Right? So, I don't know, Tom Hanks movies, or there could be, I mean, it's a matter of finding those movies which are slightly slow paced and where there's a lot of stress on the dialogues and the emotions, etc. Those are good places to, again, get the right pronunciation. And it's an entertaining way. You won't get bored. News can get boring. So it's very difficult to sustain habits which are boring. So these two are good avenues. So that's from the pronunciation improvement, right? The more you hear spoken English, okay, language is ultimately patterns, right? It's a series of words brought together to form a meaning. Grammar defines the order in which the words need to be placed and the tense, etc., to be used, right? That's what grammar does. So it's basically a flow of words in a particular pattern. When we speak any language, we are trying to follow the grammatical and language patterns to sound right, right? But in our head, we are not constantly trying to form a sentence using the grammatical rules. We are not thinking adverb, verb, adjective, what should be there, past tense. We are not thinking like that. It's a flow. How does that happen? Right? Because we have switched from rule making to simply a flow of pattern. The more you will listen to English language being spoken, the more you will begin to recognize those patterns, the grammatical flow of words. Lesser will be your mistakes with grammar and usage of words, right? In here, it need not only be spoken. If you're reading a lot of English, your grammatical patterns will improve, right? A small child does not learn mother tongue reading books and learning grammar. They learn by purely listening to members in the family talking in that language. And as they grow up, nobody teaches them grammar, but they talk perfectly in the right manner, the language of the household. Because what they have learned are those patterns of language, the patterns of words and their usage and so on. So the more you expose yourself to the language, spoken as well as written, your grammar as well as your pronunciation will improve. Right? Now, these are the two things which people stumble on when you are speaking. Okay? So that's an important one. So when you started off your speech, now we come to the structure of the speech and content, etc. You were focused on talking about excuses. And you started off with a quote. And it was a good quote, a captivating audience attention grabbing quote. What was the quote? Once again, the first sentence of your speech.
It is a crippling disease of our society nowadays.
Yes. Now, when you put something so absolute, so jarring and shocking, a crippling disease, you're talking about excuses, which is just a normal thing. People don't take it seriously. The moment you describe it in a very strong sentence, using strong words or emotions, you have the attention of the audience. So that was a very good thing to start your speech on. So a brilliant start, I would say. You have the attention of the audience right from the start. As you move further in the speech, you picked up examples from daily life. That is always a good idea. Because the moment you start giving examples from daily life, everybody would have had at least one of those as their own personal experiences, and they'll be able to instantly relate. Right? Everyday examples always work. When you talk about exceptions or once in a while things, most people are like, yeah, maybe sometimes it happens. Maybe it would have happened with her, not with me. I am not like that. But regular daily examples, everybody can identify with. And if somebody can identify with that, they will always be more attentive also.
Captured.
Right? You picked up a good point about the procrastination, that excuses leads to procrastination. Excuses are also a sign of lack of confidence as well as lack of capability. We try to use excuses there. You use the phrase, a friend in need is a friend indeed. The phrase is, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Okay? When you listen to the recording again, here, listen very carefully what you said, because you changed the entire meaning. And that's important.
Okay.
A single word which is said wrong, or sometimes the pause which comes at the wrong moment can change the meaning of the sentence. Right? A very classical Hindi example, and I remember this example from my school days. Like third standard, our professor had given us this example. The example was, Gaadi roko, mat jane do. Gaadi roko, mat jane do. How many words are there? Gaadi roko, mat jane do. 5 words. So first 2 words, Gaadi roko, then 3 words, mat jane do. Right? And there is a pause in between, which is either a comma or a full stop or something. Right? If I just shift my pause, Gaadi roko mat jane do.
Change all concept.
The meaning changed completely. It became the exact opposite. The first one was, stop the car, don't let it go. The second was, don't stop the car, let it go. Right? The pause, which is your comma, your full stop, whatever, is a very powerful speaking instrument, and it has to be used correctly, along with correct pronunciation and speed. So when you spoke, a friend in need is a friend indeed, both the things went wrong. One of the pronunciation went wrong, and the pause came in a different time. So I can't really replicate it, but when you see the recording, you will see how it has changed the meaning, right? And whenever you are using a phrase or a quote, These things become very, very important. The speed at which you say this, the pause before, after, and during that statement where you need to pause. Because you're talking at a normal pace and suddenly you're bringing something very different and you want people to pay attention. The moment you change the pause, your pace, and you pause, people pay attention, right? If you're speaking for 5 minutes and you're going on and on and on, after some time, people are losing their focus and attention. The moment you stop, suddenly they will realize, oh, something has happened. And then you say something. Even if that pause is just like barely a second, it is enough to break the flow which is there in people's mind. So it's a flow of words and the flow is broken and they suddenly become aware that something has changed. They focus again and then you deliver the punchline. Which is why in all humorous jokes, when the punchline comes, just before the punchline, there will be a nice big pause. Because you don't want people to miss the punchline. Because if they miss the punchline, everything is gone. You may have built a joke for 2 minutes only to deliver that one sentence as the punchline, right? That phrase had that quality. You were trying to prove a point or explain something. So those phrases or those key sentences need to come with a pause before, after, and somewhere in between. And it has to be practiced and timed well. Okay. So that was important. You wanted to give us some glaring example. And somewhere some words got mixed. You gave us a glarious example. So something which is very obvious is the word is glaring, not glarious. There was a word glorious, which is very different, but there is no word glarious.
No, hilarious.
Which was it?
Hilarious, hilarious.
Hilarious.
H-I-L-A.
So maybe the speed at which.
R-I-O-U-S.
Got it. Hilarious. Now coming to the story which you gave us about people coming to meet your dad. The subject was excuses. What you did was you lied to them. You did not make any excuse. So the story was good, but it did not hit the nail. Because I was looking for you to make an excuse or somebody else to make an excuse in that story, and that did not happen. You blatantly lied to those people that you did not know the man, and then they were at your home. To cover up your mistake, you did not make any excuse. Otherwise, the story still would have been relevant. So the stories are very good. Personal stories are great when trying to prove a point or explain something. But you have to work hard on selecting the right story. Otherwise, it kind of fails to convey the meaning. Okay, so that was the other thing. Correct. You said, put your leg in their shoes. So I get the sentiment, but that's not a phrase. The phrase is walking in someone else's shoes.
Okay.
Right? Which is trying to put yourself in someone else's situation and going there. The other thing is only the person who wears knows where the shoe pinches, or only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches, which has a different meaning. Only the person who is in the situation knows the exact situation and where it pinches or where it hurts and what are the things. No one else can claim that, oh yeah, I understand. Right? So these are two different things. Knowing only the wearer knows the shoe, where the shoe pinches, and walking in someone else's shoes. Putting your leg in someone else's shoes is like literally saying, go and wear his shoes. So that's not a phrase. So when you use a phrase, you have to be very careful that the phrase is correct, because a little change and people will be confused. Okay, what was that? It's not the phrase. She's used some other phrase which I don't know. Okay. And then they're wondering, what is the meaning of this new phrase?
Okay.
Okay. Great. So that was pretty much all. And when we come to the close of the meeting, the speech, you did it well. You brought to a conclusion. You actually announced that this is where I conclude. And you reiterated in a very short, like 10-second, 15-second, what you were trying to tell them. So it's always a good idea in a speech that you do a good start, grab the attention, introduce the subject, and tell them what you're going to tell them. Then you tell them, and you conclude by telling them what you have already told them. So it's like a summary of, in the past 10 minutes, this is what I was talking about. If you don't remember the last 10 minutes, just remember this 30 seconds and you are still fine. That's the whole objective of the last 30-40 seconds. It has to come with a bang, and it can actually summarize the whole speech also. So that was nicely done. It can be further polished, but it was there. A lot of people don't close. They're just going on and on and on, and suddenly the speech ends and audience is like, oh, it ended. I did not even realize. So you have to conclusively end the speech, which you did properly. So for me, the key from today's speech was structure and all was good. Content also, you have brought the right content, but you need to work more on your pronunciation and the grammatical side. It will need constant improvement, right? And a test would be also that when I share this recording with you, when you listen to your speech, are you able to identify all the grammatical mistakes you were making? Now, it's not very easy because, as I told you, if we have been saying certain words or using certain phrases in a certain manner, they seem right to us and we continue to use them. Unless somebody tells us this is wrong, and then we have to make an effort. And sometimes we make a mistake while speaking, but when you're listening back to it, you know, oh, no, this doesn't sound right. This should sound different. And then you figure out the alternate way. When we are thinking this does not sound right, this is basically what you have heard. You're trying to match it with all the existing patterns in your head, where somebody else, where you have either heard somebody or heard it in a movie or a news, that statement or sentence being used, and that pattern is not matching, which is when we say this does not sound right. Right? For years, my test of correct spelling and correct pronunciation was this only. I would say the word in my head twice or thrice in 2-3 different ways and try to remember, try to think which was sounding right, which matched any existing pattern in my head. And same I did with the spellings. If I thought this was wrong spelling, I would write 2-3 different spellings of the word and try to see what have I seen before.
I have done the spelling same.
When you have read, you've seen words. So that image of the spelling is there somewhere inside, even if you don't remember. So I'm just trying to
unconsciously there.
Exactly. So sometimes it works like that. So basically, even learning that language, we should use, we will have to first absorb all that information through sound, through words, right? So we are filling up our mental database with all the English possible, so that when we are speaking, that constant matching is going on, and our brain can feed us the right language. The more you read, the more you hear, your language storage becomes better. And the only way to improve English language is to constantly speak. You have to speak a lot of English, make mistakes as much as possible. The more you make mistakes, the more you will realize them, because you will be hearing and you will be realizing that you are making mistakes, and you will look for the right way of speaking that. And that's how it will increase and improve. That's pretty much all the things I could gather in watching you perform that speech. I will also look at that video once again and see if there were more inputs which I can gather. Right? Now, the other thing, the next time we do this exercise where you prepare another speech for, I think, 15 minutes this time, before I give a feedback, you will evaluate your own speech. Right? Now there is a difference. When you are giving your speech, I am watching it, I am hearing the speech. You are not. You are not an audience to your own self. Right? So it will be very difficult for you to evaluate analytically your own speech unless you watch it as a recording. But what you have is a feel of your speech, right? As you were delivering through those 10 minutes, 15 minutes, what was your emotional feel? What was your emotional state? Were you comfortable? Did you get a feeling that this did not sound right? This did not look right? This does not feel right? You will be giving a feedback on your feel of the speech. Right? Immediately after your speech, what do you feel? You did a great job, you did a bad job, you did okay, you think your message went out, but there were those mistakes. Somewhere in the middle, you were not getting, you got bored in the middle. I've felt that sometimes. That I'm giving a speech and suddenly in the middle of the speech, I feel I am getting bored. And my fear is if I am getting bored, what is happening to my audience? Right? Now, this you can think of as a little advanced kind of public speaking because you are trying to read your audience by reading yourself. If you had a live audience, basis their reaction, the movement, expressions on their face, you are constantly reading them. Nowadays, things have changed. We are speaking to a laptop screen on which a lot of people don't have videos on. And sometimes it's nobody on and we are speaking with looking just at ourselves. So you will have to be in tune with your feelings just to know whether you are doing okay or not. Okay. So next week we will in our next meeting, we will do that also. You give a speech and then you try to identify what are your feelings. And then of course I'll do the same analytical kind of feedback also. Okay. Now, our next meeting. Our day is Thursday, but today is already Tuesday. So that will be very little time. So do you want to move it to Friday?
I think Friday
at least 2 days gap will be there. Otherwise, we'll just have 1 day sort of thing. It's already Tuesday. Yes, so you'll get Wednesday, Thursday, and you will be able to prepare. Now go and do that. Not in here. Either way. Okay. Okay. So one is, now think about whether you want to improve the same speech or you want to work on a new one for this week's next meeting.
I think new one.
Okay, fine with me.
What I can do, whatever improvement of things I got it, I can record it and I can send you and for later. But for new topic, because I also want to work on new, so it will be more interesting. And it's good for me also to research something and a new feedback.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because before that, I just used to speak as a 2 minute, 1.5 minute, and not more than 3 minutes. Essentially, I don't know how became comfortable to speak because I never thought I will be speak like that. And your motivation, I got on initially first time, so I prepared myself to speak, and that's why I was chasing you to improve myself because I know I can polish, not be 100%, at least 50%. If I would be able to do it, it will help in my life.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's take a new topic and let's take a simple topic, but the challenge will be in trying to not bore the audience. Okay, here's the challenge. The topic is food wastage. Food wastage, very ordinary, simple topic. Everybody knows about it. Now, combination of how you frame the speech as well as how do you research it to actually share with people something they might not have thought about. Everybody knows that food wastage happens and you should not waste food, and there is all the common thoughts. So gather all those common thoughts and write it on one page and then research the topic and create a speech which does not have all those common thoughts.
Understood your point.
Right? It will be an interesting thing for you because you will learn something new. And the challenge now is to present it in a very interesting manner and amaze the audience with new information on something they thought they already knew. Right? So it's like you are going to talk about food wastage and everybody in the audience is like, okay, we know about it. What is there to talk about food wastage? We should not waste the food and all. And then for the next 15 minutes, they don't hear anything of that sort and completely new information, things they did not hear, did not know, never thought of, and so on like that. So that will be the next one for you. 2 days. Will that be enough?
Yes, it will be enough.
Great, great. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect. One more thing. Do you know Google gives you pronunciation of words also?
Yes.
Right?
I didn't see actually. My daughter helped me sometimes in Toastmaster whenever I get the role. And it's my habit, few words like sha or sa, always I make problem and excuse. Sorry.
Yeah, we
That
all have
also I
our...
make.
Yeah. I'm sure even I have some words which I'm saying it wrong. I don't know I'm saying it wrong and nobody else is pointed out. So I'll continue to do that. Right? But any word you have a doubt, you just put it in Google, the word and meaning. It gives you the meaning. And somewhere you will see a small speaker icon. Click on that and it will actually say out the word for you. Okay, so you can say nice. I mean, every phone has got Google, so it's always with
you. Actually, problem is that if I wouldn't have speak in front of you, I wouldn't have come to know that I'm speaking wrong.
See, that's what the thing is, no, with pronunciation. Unless somebody points it out, there's no way of knowing we are doing it wrong. Only some words we will know when we are saying it, oh, I did not say it wrong. But then that's an exception. You will generally say the word right. But things which you're saying wrong, most people are like, one is wrong, the other is the accent. And it's very difficult to separate the two also. Sometimes people say a word in a particular accent and that becomes their pronunciation. And you go to another different part of the world and it's a complete different accent and a different pronunciation.
Different word.
So that's another challenge. But for all practical purposes, we use the American and British accent plus, sorry, not the accent, but the pronunciation as our guideline. Because Australian accent is way too different. French, English accent can be very, very different. The same word said by those 3-4 different people can sound very, very different. In fact, during my consulting days, I have been in meetings where we had this global project going on and we had these 3-4 different people from Australia and the French and Middle Eastern guy and all of them in the same meeting. And me and 3 of my colleagues sitting in KPMG office holding our head, trying to understand what they are saying because very, very different pronunciations and very, very different accents. So difficult to understand. So that happens. So pronunciation, it will take time. Same for grammar. It's not a very easy thing to learn grammar and improve your grammar or the way your sentences are formed. For us, the best way will be to expose ourselves to a lot of spoken and written English and improve the grammar and pronunciation. Okay?
Okay, sure.
Great. That's all for today evening. Yes.
Here in Mauritius, I was doing job and a meeting always used to be in French, but they said because of Rashmi is Indian, so we'll convert in English. And the topic was that day, the transport issues. But the way they spoken issues, I thought transport shoes. So I thought maybe as a transport, they are going to provide some muddy or some like for shoes. In whole meeting, I didn't understand that transport shoes. And at the end of the meeting, I understood, oh my God, they were telling issues. So like that, I faced challenges.
Yes, yes. See, again, one word, little different pronunciation, it can change the whole meaning.
Yes. And later I felt very bad because to make understand issues and shoes what they are talking about it, whole meeting I didn't understand because I was stuck with this word.
Yes, happens.
But
Mm.
that's why I want to improve myself in a grammar way or a pronunciation way, or construct any topic to make like a time to like people can feel interest in my talk. So for that I'm trying. And before, if you would have seen me 3 months or before 4 months, I was not enough capable to speak 3 or 4 lines together.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a internal
So slowly
desire to
slowly
make it
I'm
happen.
moving on.
That drives. That drives. The other thing
Yeah,
is, which
that's
just now
true.
struck me, is there are audios which are available online. There are podcasts which people record. So YouTube, you go, people record their videos and throw content. But sometimes they just have to give a message. There's nothing of a video to show. It's just them speaking. So then they also release that thing as a podcast, and there are various podcast websites. There are motivational podcasts, there are subject matter podcasts, but it's only audio. Those are also interesting things to hear for improving your English, as well as you could be hearing about a particular subject and improving your knowledge also. Okay, so explore that also.
Thank you so much. And again, like the last videos I have sent you, take little time and see it and
I
give me
will,
the
I
feedback.
will.
I'm waiting for that.
Yes, I will definitely do that. Okay.
Because as much you will give me the point or the area improvement, really I want to go ahead.
Perfect. Perfect. Great.
Yes.
Good night for today.
Thank you so much. Good night, coach.
We'll
Good
meet on
night. Thank you
Friday.
so much again.
Bye bye.
Yes.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.